If you're trying to make M's, you've got to be ready to hustle nonstop. And sometimes, you've got to face a little smoke if you're really out here making moves. Just don't choke when the pressure's on, right? And speaking of pressure, if you're out with a dime piece, you know you're turning heads. If you didn't quite catch all that and want to learn these terms along with some other practical expressions and vocabulary, stick around because today we're breaking down J. Cole's track Amari. You won't want to miss it.
Hey, plotting my escape, this game, riding niggas fake. Got a couple M's hiding in the safe. Imagination turn a Honda into Wraith. I was doing 80 on the interstate.
First up, we have the verb to plot. It means to plan secretly to do something, especially something illegal or wrong. For example, she's plotting her next big move in the business. Here's how the word comes alive in different situations.
Lord Eddard began plotting to steal Joffrey's rightful throne.
Instead, I feel like I'm a villain in a soap opera who's plotting to steal your family fortune.
You motherfuckers out here plotting all kinds of shit behind your back.
Next, the term game pops up. In slang, this can refer to a specific industry, field, or system, especially the music industry. So if someone says she's been in the corporate game for over a decade, they're talking about their time and experience in the corporate world. Now let's look at rotten. This word is used in a figurative sense here. While it literally means decayed, when used metaphorically, it means something that's corrupt, dishonest, or morally bad. For instance, the politician seemed great at first, but he turned out to be rotten. Moving on, the term M's is another slang expression, and it refers to millions of money. So when someone says he made his first couple of M's after starting his tech company, they're talking about earning millions. Now, let's focus on the phrasal verb to turn into something. This simply means to change or transform into something else. You might say, over the years, the small town turned into a bustling city, to describe how something evolved over time. Next, we have to do a number. This expression is often used to describe the speed at which something is moving or happening. For example, he was doing 100 on the highway, speeding past everyone. Finally, we have interstate. It refers to a highway system in the US designed for long-distance travel. So if you say, the interstate was crowded with cars during the holiday weekend, you're talking about the major highways that stretch across the country.
Trying to make it back before my class start. Country nigga never seen a passport till I popped off and got a bag for it. Now I'm at the garden sitting half court.
First, we have tryna, which is an informal shortened version of trying to. It's commonly used in casual speech. For example, we're trying to save money for our vacation next month. The phrasal verb to make it to something means to succeed in reaching a place or goal, especially after putting in effort or overcoming some obstacles. For instance, she left early to make it to the meeting on time. Next up is country, which is used informally to describe someone from a rural area. It can imply simplicity or a lack of exposure to urban life. For example, you might hear, she has a country accent that makes her stand out in the city. Moving on, there's to pop off, which is slang for suddenly becoming successful or popular. You could hear someone say, her TikTok video popped off and got 1 million views in one day. The term bag is another slang term, and it refers to money or wealth, often implying a significant amount. For instance, she landed a big contract and walked away with a hefty bag, highlights how she walked away with a large sum of money. Then we have garden, which refers to Madison Square Garden, a famous sports and entertainment venue in New York City. Finally, we have half court. It refers to the center area of a basketball court.
Watching Junior catch it off the bat boy. Little nigga never seen nothing except a fucking triple beam jumping. Good dope, leave a fiend crumping. Made it out, it gotta mean something.
First, we have the expression to catch it off the backboard, which is a basketball reference. It refers to when a player catches the ball after it bounces off the backboard. Next is the word sept, an informal contraction of accept, commonly used in casual or poetic context to keep the rhythm of the song flowing. Moving on, we see the phrase triple beam, which refers to a type of scale often used in street culture for weighing drugs. A common usage in this context would be, they were weighing the cocaine out on a triple beam. Then we have dope, which in this instance refers to high-quality drugs. For instance, he's selling dope on the corner. Dope is also slang for something excellent or cool in general. For example, that new jacket is so dope. It looks amazing. Next is fiend, which refers to someone addicted to drugs. It can also describe someone obsessed with something, even if it's not drugs. So, she's a caffeine fiend in the mornings, refers to someone who can't function without their coffee. Crumping is a style of dance characterized by energetic, exaggerated movements. The phrasal verb to make it out means to escape or survive a difficult situation or place. You could use it like, after hours of being trapped in the storm, we finally made it out of the forest safely. Lastly, there's gotta, which is a contraction of got to or have got to, used in informal speech. For example, you gotta see this new movie. It's amazing, meaning you must see it.
Either you gon' hustle or that nigga Uncle Sam got your ass re-enlisting. 2-6 murder scene pumping. Better leave it tucked if you ain't dumping.
Let's start with the verb to hustle. This slang term means to work hard, sometimes in unconventional or even illicit ways, to make money or achieve success. For example, he's been hustling every day to build his business. Uncle Sam is a term referring to the personification of the US government, especially when talking about taxes or military service. When someone says, Uncle Sam takes a big chunk of my paycheck every month, they're talking about the taxes taken out by the government. The phrase to re-enlist means to sign up again for military service after completing a term. You might hear someone say, after 4 years, he decided against re-enlisting in the Army, referring to someone choosing not to continue their military career. 2-6 is a reference to the local area code of Fayetteville, North Carolina, J. Cole's hometown. Let's move on to the verb to pump, which is slang meaning to increase, intensify, or amplify. You could use it like, the crowd was pumping with excitement as the concert went on, to show how energy or action is rising. Lastly, there's to dump. In this context, it means to shoot a weapon repeatedly until the clip is empty. For example, they were dumping rounds when the fight broke out.
Pow, pow, nigga, he slumping. 12 coming, we ain't seen nothing. Time chain, niggas ain't rumbling no more. Now what for? Hungry for more.
First, there is to slump. It means to sit or fall heavily and suddenly, often due to being physically incapacitated, usually from violence. For example, the boxer delivered a knockout punch, and his opponent was slumping on the canvas. Next is 12. Slang for police officers, particularly in urban contexts. For instance, the neighbors called 12 after hearing loud noises late at night. To rumble is an informal term meaning to fight, particularly a physical confrontation. You might say, 2 rival gangs rumbled in the alley last night. Finally, hungry is a slang idiomatic expression describing a strong desire or ambition to achieve more of something, usually success or power. When someone says, the team won the championship but remained hungry for more victories in the future, it shows that despite their success, they still crave more and aren't satisfied.
If you solo lead vocal, listen close and you can hear grumbling. Multi and I'm still munching. Big bag, never fear fumbling.
First up, we have the verb to solo, which is a term used in music, meaning to isolate a single track or vocal line to hear it more clearly. For example, you can solo the vocals in the software to hear the singer more clearly. Next is to grumble, a verb that usually means to complain about something in an annoyed way. For instance, she spent the evening grumbling to me about her job. But in other contexts, it refers to the sound of a stomach, indicating hunger. You might say, his stomach was grumbling because he hadn't eaten all day. The term multi is short for multimillionaire, used to describe someone who has accumulated significant wealth. For instance, becoming a multi in his 20s was beyond his wildest dreams. Next is to munch on something, which means to eat with enthusiasm or vigor, often casually or informally. So you might say, the kids were munching on chips while watching their favorite cartoon. Lastly, we have to fumble. It means to handle something clumsily or awkwardly, often resulting in a mistake or loss. In slang, it can also mean missing an opportunity or failing to execute something properly. For example, she had a chance to land her dream job but fumbled during the interview.
Want smoke, nigga, don't choke. I'm a whole fucking nicotine company. Dream of the army, not a navy. How could you ever try to play me?
Smoke is slang for confrontation, conflict, or trouble. It's often used to challenge someone or express readiness for a fight or competition. For example, if you want smoke, you better be prepared for the consequences. Next is to choke, meaning to fail under pressure or make a critical mistake in a high-stakes situation. For example, he had a chance to win the game but choked at the last second. Lastly, we have to play someone, which means to deceive or manipulate them. It's used when someone takes advantage of or betrays someone. For example, she felt hurt when her friend tried to play her by lying about what happened.
Kill him on the song, walk up out the booth, do the Westbrook like a baby. I never fall out with the bro, hey when your family turning a foe.
Booth refers to the recording booth in a music studio where vocals are recorded. For example, the artist spent hours in the booth perfecting the chorus for his new single. Next is Westbrook Rock a Baby, a celebratory gesture popularized by NBA player Russell Westbrook, where he mimics cradling a baby to signify dominance or success, often after scoring a point. To fall out with someone is a phrasal verb meaning to have a disagreement or argument that results in a strained or ended relationship. For example, they used to be close, but they fell out with each other after the big fight. Finally, foe means an enemy or adversary. It's often used in formal or poetic contexts. You could say, the hero confronted his foe in the final battle of the story.
We had a penthouse on the road, interior decorated with a hose. Just like a multiple truck getting shows, my niggas like any, many, money, more.
First up is penthouse, which refers to a luxurious apartment or suite located on the top floor of a building, often symbolizing wealth and status. For example, they moved into a penthouse overlooking the city skyline. Next is interior. It means the inside part or space of something, like a building or vehicle. For example, the interior of the restaurant was decorated with modern art and cozy furniture. The term hoe is a derogatory term used to refer to women in a disrespectful or objectifying way. It's often found in urban slang, but it can be controversial. It's also used to refer to prostitutes, particularly women who engage in sex work. However, it's important to note that the term is highly offensive and should be used with caution. Lastly, eeny, meeny, miny, mo is an expression often used by children to make decisions randomly. It's referenced here humorously to signify choosing someone or something without much thought. For example, the kids couldn't decide on a flavor of ice cream, so they went with eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Scoop up a dime piece like we homeless, then we gon' send them back pigeon toe. Out of the concrete was a rose, and windows was cold.
Scoop up means to take or buy something in a quick and eager way. For example, customers scooped up the free samples. Next, we have dime piece, slang for a very attractive person, usually a woman who is considered a 10 in terms of appearance, referencing the perfect score of a US dime coin. For instance, he couldn't stop talking about the dime piece he met at the club. Then we have pigeon-toed, which describes a condition where a person's feet point inward while walking. In this context, J. Cole uses it metaphorically to imply that his performance in sex was so good that the women were sore and could barely walk afterward. Alright, let's recap everything we've covered through this short story. Jay leaned back, plotting his next move in the game. After hustling day and night, he'd made a couple of M's, but the rotten world around him was full of foes and lies. His stomach grumbled as he munched on chips, staring at the bare interior of his apartment. Rico called, saying, "Jay, 12's watching, but you need to scoop up the dope tonight." Jay hesitated. Rico might be playing him, but if he choked now, everything could fall apart. Driving through the city, doing 50, Jay walked straight into trouble. A rival crew ambushed him, dumping rounds non-stop. He barely made it out, slumping in his car from exhaustion. He didn't want any smoke. At dawn, Jay reflected on his country beginnings and realized he wasn't hungry for a dime piece or more money. He craved peace. "The game won't pump me full of lies anymore," he vowed, ready to leave Rico, Uncle Sam, and the chaos behind. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed learning with us, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Verse Up, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on new lessons. Let us know in the comments which word or phrase was your favorite. Keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next one.